Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today I have a very clean and simple card using this City Stacks stamp set by Concord and Ninth. There's 3 different landscapes and also a bunch of nice sentiments. So I'm going to start by using a creative corner for my Misty. I really don't use these very often, but in this case I'm having a stamp that's hanging off the right and the left, so I need to move it toward the center of the Misty. So I'm going to take my house stamp and put it right there on the lower half of my Canson XL Mixed Media paper. And I'm going to be inking this up with some Fog ink by Simon Says Stamp. It's one of my very favorite inks. It's very neutral. So I'm going to stamp that down, and then I decided I wanted it a little darker, so I'm just going to do one more layer and stamp that. I'm going to color that middle house with Inktense pencils. I'm using dark aquamarine first on the house. And notice that my brush is a very, very fine tip because these areas are really small. And because they're so small, I'm actually going to pull the color off of my pencil rather than drawing right onto my cardstock. Now I put some water on my brush here, and that's why it pulled the color so easily. It does not ruin your pencil at all to do this, and you get a really nice control of the color that you put on. So I'm speeding this up here, and I'm mostly putting dark on the edges and maybe under the roof a little bit, and I'm just adding a little bit of water when I need to, and then just pulling off the pencil for more color when I need to. All right, next I'm going to let that dry first, and then I'm going to work on the door, which is going to be poppy red. I thought it'd be fun to have kind of a bright colored red door. And I'm just trying to really color within that fog stamped image. I can still see it, but if I color outside the lines, it's not really a big deal because it's kind of a sketchy image anyway. Okay, for my windows, I'm using golden yellow, again, just pulling off the pencil and coloring the inside here. I'm trying to do parts of the image that don't touch each other so it can dry in between. I'm going to work on the chimney smoke with Pain Gray. And the first time I did this, I had a really thick line because I used more water, but it seems like I have more color here, and so it came out thinner and darker. I wasn't that happy with it, so I tried to add a little bit of water and make it a little thicker. It wasn't exactly the way I wanted to, but then I just decided to leave it because I know that if I keep working on it, it's not going to come out very good. I'm trying to be really careful about the amount of water that I'm using, so just to show you what I'm doing is I wet my brush and then I dry it a little bit on my absorber. And then I take my brush and dip it into the water about 1/4 of an inch past the tip. And that helps me really get just a little bit of water and plenty of color so that it doesn't kind of drop big droplets of water by accident. This is red oxide. I'm doing the roof, the chimney, and the window sills along with this roof down here on this lower window. And then I'm going to color my grass. So I'm going to start with spring green. I'm using much more water because I want to spread it out a little bit more in front of this house. My goal was to just put it in front of this house, but I don't know, I just kept brushing and it kept getting wider and wider. So I would have made it a little bit narrower if I had to do it again. All right, once I get my spring green down, I'm going to take another green called beach green, and I'm going to drop that kind of toward the house. Here's my beach green. I'll drop it toward the house and work out a little bit, but really I'm just trying to get a little variation in color, so I'm just dropping it here and there. All right, once I'm done with this, I'm going to let it dry completely, and I'm going to put it right back in my Misty. I did not touch my stamp, so it's exactly in the same spot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up this middle house with a Stampin' Up! Marker. This is the black marker. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see. I'm using the brush tip. It goes on really easily. I have a really juicy marker. And it took me about a full minute, so you don't really have to rush. I just have it fast forwarded for efficiency here in the video. Now I'm leaning over to huff on it, so just hot air to reactivate the ink so that it moistens up and it'll stamp. And you'll see once I pull this up here and show it to you, you get a really, really good image by using this technique. And I did it after the watercolor because I didn't want the black ink to run at all, and now it's really bright and it looks good. I'm going to put my sentiment right under the house, and I want you to notice that I went over the line on the red door. So I'm just going to take that blue, I'll cover it up a little bit. It didn't cover it up all the way, but it was good enough for government work. So I'm going to put some ATG on the back of this and adhere it to a Neenah Solar White folded piece of cardstock. And I thought it was a little boring. It was so much white, so I decided to add a frame. I'm using my 0.3 Copic liner because it has a really, really fine tip. And you can see I'm hand drawing this and I'm swerving the lines a little bit because I'm gonna make it a double line and I wanna kind of cross them and loop them a little bit. And everything was going really well until right here you can see right there. I don't know what happened. That was real time. My hand just like jerked left and right really quickly. I have no idea why, but here is the mistake right here. I'm going to try to fix it later, so I'm moving on here, finish up this line, and then finally this last line. Everything else looked pretty good. My first attempt to fix this was with a white gel pen. And normally this should work pretty well, but as you know, I have this old gel pen that I just keep using all the time and it doesn't work well. I haven't bought a new pen because I don't want to pay for shipping for just a pen. Anyway, so I decided to try white out, but it turns out this bottle is completely dried out. So I had to stop the camera, go to the store, buy some more white out. And now I'm going to try to clean this up here, and actually worked really, really well. So I did a little swipe on the left, a little swipe on the right. It's a really kind of fine sponge here. And that is the card for today, all fixed up. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.